Well, students, good evening to all of you. So, I start my lecture with the same slide which I discussed in the last lecture. If a child cannot learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. Okay, what does it means? Means being a teacher, we have to teach according to the interest of the student, mental level of the student, the way student learns. Okay, we have to teach. So we were discussing types of methods, teaching methods. These are the types of teaching methods. You can see the list. So it is covering your all pedagogical subjects. These lectures, these teaching methods covering your pedagogy of SST, pedagogy of English, pedagogy of commerce, science, mathematics, and other all teaching subjects. Out of these teaching methods, we have already done 4 teaching method in our last lecture. You can see on the YouTube: lecture method, discussion method, laboratory, and project method. Okay. So today we are starting from the survey method. Survey method. What is a survey method? Survey method is a commonly used technique in research to collect information from a group of people by asking questions. It is a widely used in fields such as sociology, psychology, education, and marketing research to understand opinion, behavior, attitude, or characteristics of a population. So, guys, this is another teaching method. This method is basically used to collect the information regarding the behavior of the person, opinion of the person, attitude and characteristics of the person. Okay. The survey, as you see on the image में देखिए, online survey, है ना? This is the commonly used survey method, right? Survey means face to face survey. Interview क्या चीज है? It is also a survey method. It comes under the survey method, interview, right? Counseling को provide करता है information. It is also a kind of a survey method. The survey method is a research technique in which data is collected from a large number of respondents using the tool like questionnaire, interviews or online forms. ऐसे ही होता है ना? From these ना, through the interview, questionnaires, we collect the information from the respondent. Okay, from the person. Example, a researcher asks, नीचे देखिए सबसे, a researcher asks 500 students about their study habits through a questionnaire. Right? Steps क्या होते हैं? Steps are the most important in the survey method. ये 7 steps होते हैं. These are the same steps of the research. Okay. So survey method, you should, being a teacher, you should know the survey method. So what are the steps of a survey method? First of all, define a research problem. Okay. Teacher has to define a particular problem. Identify the target population. Second, select the sample. Fourth is design the questionnaire or the survey tool. Fifth is to collect the data. Fifth, analyze and interpret the data. And seventh, making the report. Interpret results and preparing the report. So these are the 7 steps of the survey method. Right, guys? Next, we discuss what are the uses of survey method. What happens? Survey method say we can collect a large amount of data. We understand. मतलब देखो ये these are the we are discussing the topic teaching methods. Okay, these all are teaching methods. On the behalf of a teacher should have knowledge of these teaching methods. Guys, you cannot teach lot of topics with the same method, right? So these are the methods. It depends upon your topic which method you will use. Now we are discussing the survey method. So survey method mein what happens? If you have to collect a large amount of a data, if you want to understand the opinion, attitude and behavior of the respondent, studying social problem, educational research, marketing and business research, health and psychological studies, policy making and planning, measuring trends and changes over time, supporting scientific research. So for these all things, you use the survey method, right? In your teaching also, you use the survey method. Okay. If you know these are the uses and advantages, there are some limitations of the survey method. Okay, because in each method, what we are doing that we are understanding the meaning of method. Next, we are doing uses, steps, advantages, and limitations. Right? So, what are the limitations of survey method? Number one, response bias. Respondent may give false or socially desirable answer. So, you know what happens when you prepare a questionnaire? हाँ, you are going to fill from the student. तो you know student उसको समझ आ जाता है. तो sometimes ना वो क्या करता है, false answer दे देता है. Because nobody wants ना कि मेरा opinion, मेरा behavior किसी को पता लगे. Are you getting my point? है ना? No, nobody wants, because everybody wants that, you know, everybody show that, you know, very cool behavior. Nobody talks about, you know, frequently, you know, मैं जो हूं anger आ जाता है मुझे. Nobody says that. So sometimes क्या होता है, they fill the false response. They fill the socially desirable answer. Or some are the limitations also. Next, low response rate. Some people may not respond to the survey. You have seen that. Limited depth. Survey usually provide surface level information, not the deep level information. Okay. But the teacher must understand the student at the deep level. But there are other methods also. The teacher should have knowledge of all the methods. Okay. Questions misinterpretation. Respondents may misunderstand questions sometime. Time and cost. Large survey may require significant time and resources. Dependence on self-reported data. Data depends on what people say, which may not reflect actual behavior. So sometimes, every method having some advantages and some limitation. So teacher must know that on which occasion, which method teacher should use. This is the ability of the teacher. Okay. You cannot teach with the same method the whole book. Next, we discuss the discovery method. Okay, this is another method of teaching. The way we have discussed lecture method of teaching, discussion method of teaching, laboratory method of teaching, project method of teaching, survey method of teaching. So this is another method of teaching, discovery method. Okay, what happens under a discovery? Teacher must know. If you as a teacher do not have the knowledge of the discovery method, please tell me guys how you can teach to the student, how you can develop the critical thinking skill of the student, how you can develop the reasoning skill of the student if you do not have the knowledge of discovery method. Got it now? So these are the teaching method teacher must know. Okay, we discussed discovery method in detail. Discovery method is a teaching method, another teaching method where students learn by exploring, investigating, and finding answers themselves instead of being directly told by the teacher. The teacher acts as a guide and facilitator, helping students discover concepts on their own. As you see in the image, a lot of students, particular problem teacher has given to this student, all the students, they are discussing, they are exploring, they are investigating and finding the answer. Okay, teacher is helping only. So teacher hota bhi yahi hai guys. Try to understand who is teacher. Teacher is a basically facilitator. All right, teacher is a guide. Teacher is as the Rabindranath Tagore has said, teacher should act like a friend, guide, and philosopher. All right. Well, you should have knowledge, okay, and you should know that you should have the deep knowledge of the teaching methodology. You have to help the student, okay, so that, next line suniye, so that student becomes able to learn by themselves. Getting my point? You do not have to boast about yourself. You have given this concept to the student. This is the reason student has got 95% marks. Okay, you do not have to do this. Even you have to make able the student so that student can learn by their self. He should know the problem solving technique by himself or herself. Okay, different skills you have to develop among the students. Okay, so the discovery method is an instructional approach in which students gain knowledge through observation, experimentation, and problem solving. Now, check yourself. Have you taught the students like that way, like the discovery method? Actually, you don't know discovery method. How you will teach like that? And you say that, student is weak. Student is never ever weak. No child is weak in this planet. Okay, remember, right? The discovery method is an instructional approach in which students gain knowledge through observation, experimentation, and problem solving. Last paragraph देखिए. This method is closely related to the ideas in educational psychology and was strongly promoted by the J. Brunner, who believed students learn better when they discover information by themselves. याद रखना, particular topic है. For example, you have the subject of SST, commerce, science. Okay, one topic has come, and from that you have to teach to the student. सिस्टर गीता, आप वीडियो भी ऑफ कर लीजिए काइंडली, मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो रहा हूं, अब वीडियो ऑफ कर लो. राइट, फॉर एग्जांपल, यू हैव टू टीच टू द स्टूडेंट. ओके, that particular topic requires the discovery method, for example, right? And you are teaching like a lecture method. So what you are doing, that you are the person who is killing the reasoning power of the student, right? Critical thinking power of the student. You are not developing the critical thinking skill of the student. Got it? So this method is developed by promoted by the J. Brunner. Okay, you have to remember this. अब steps क्या हैं देखिए. Steps of discovery method. Presentation of the problem. The teacher presents a question or problem to student. आपको देनी है whenever you have to teach any of the topic, for example, right, requires this method. So you have to present a question or problem in front of the student. Next step है observation and exploration. ये कौन करेगा? Who will do that? Student will. Student will observe material, situations, or examples. Formulating hypothesis. Who will formulate the hypothesis? Student will formulate the hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is the supposition. Hypothesis is the assumption. Students suggest possible answer or explanation. Hypothesis. ठीक है? Student will hypothesize that. इसका ये भी आंसर हो सकता है. Experimentation or investigation. Student test their ideas through activities or experiments. Analysis and discussion. Student analyze the result and discuss findings. Conclusion. Student arrive at the correct concept or principle. देखो, every step student is doing. What is your role? Your role is act as a facilitator. You have to facilitate the student if the student is going into the wrong way. Okay, तो ऐसे भी पढ़ाना होता है. Okay, teaching doesn't mean you have to come into the class, open the book and putting into the mind of the student. Okay, this is not a teaching. Okay, you have to teach, you have to use the different methods in whole of the year. You have ample amount of a time. You have to use the different kind of a method. You should apply to the students. Why? Next देखिए, why? Because discovery method encourages active learning. If the student is not active learner, okay, so it is a not mistake of the student, mistake of the teacher, because teacher didn't even teach, from these methods. Okay, whole of the year he or she is teaching with the same method. Encourages active learning. From this method, it develops the critical thinking and problem solving skill of the student. It improves understanding and retention of knowledge, promotes curiosity and creativity. Guys, due to wrong teaching, listen me carefully, due to wrong teaching, accidentally or intentionally, teacher is a person who kills the reasoning power of the student. Teacher kills the curiosity of the student. Teacher kills the problem solving skills of the student because teacher doesn't have this teaching methodology knowledge, weird knowledge. And after studying the BA or MA, they are teaching in these schools. Intentionally or accidentally, they are killing these all the skills among the students. Getting my point? Commonly used in subjects like science education and mathematics education में ये यूज होते हैं, ठीक है. सोशल साइंस का भी ये सोशल साइंस में भी यूज होता है डिस्कवरी मेथड. सोशल साइंस में तो होगा ही होगा. सोशल साइंस के कितने टॉपिक्स हैं, हिस्ट्री के कितने टॉपिक्स हैं, राइट. यू हैव टू टीच टू दी स्टूडेंट. ओके, तो आप उनको मतलब फ्रॉम दिस मेथड इफ यू ट्रेन द स्टूडेंट्स, तो स्टूडेंट्स विल डेवलप दिस ऑल द स्किल्स. Now we discuss the limitations. ठीक है, क्या limitation है? Time consuming compared to the lecture method, not suitable for the large classes. Some topics may be too complex to discover independently, requires well-trained teachers and proper resources. Okay, guys, being teacher, अब ये limitations भी आ रहे हैं ना? Okay, although some are the limitations, okay, because if you get a large class, so it is not suitable. But if you get a some students, only a few students, then you can apply na, right? So ये जो limitations भी हैं, if you are a good teacher, you are a trained teachers, you can reduce these limitations. Okay, but these limitations exist. Okay, next, source method, right? So survey method we are done, discovery method we are done. Now source method. This is another important method of ये सोशल साइंस का भी मेथड है ये, ठीक है. द सोर्स मेथड इज अनदर टीचिंग मेथड इन विच स्टूडेंट लर्न बाय यूजिंग ओरिजिनल सोर्सेज ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन such as documents, objects, pictures, maps, letters, or records. Instead of only listening to the teacher, student examine and interpret these sources to understand facts and events. देखो ये मेथड भी है लर्न करने का. टूर एंड ट्रेवल होते हैं ना, in every school there is a some time of some days of the tours and travels. So when the student go for the tours and travels, have you thought that why the concept of a tour and travels has come in the schools? Have you even thought that why every school starts with the prayer? Have you thought that why science subject, math subjects are taught to the students at a beginning? Have you thought it? So there is a science in these all the things, there is a science in back. Okay, when every school starting with the prayer, it is adopting the philosophy of idealism. Okay, if tour and travels in every schools having this facility of tours and travels, so they are also using the naturalism study also, right? So when you go with the tours and travels, पे उनकी students की learning हो रही है. Okay, because because students are interacting with the direct source, and the learning will become permanent. Retention power भी उनकी develop हो गई, because if you teach the student with the direct source, with the primary source, okay, in this method, the teacher provides some historical or a factual sources and students analyze them to understand the subject. This method is especially important in history and social studies, where real evidence helps students understand past events. As you see in the image, Look at the image. Oh, देखो, teachers is showing some images, actual images teacher is showing. Okay, with the help of it, that images, teacher is preparing, developing the lesson. Right? ये देखिए another example, coins, artifacts. Whenever, guys, any topic comes in social science or in any other subject, okay, where there is a need of this, you should show the students directly these objects. Okay, या तो स्टूडेंट्स को ले जाओ वहां पर कोई म्यूजियम में, राइट, यू कैन विजिट द म्यूजियम, राइट, या यू कैन शो डायरेक्टली दीज थिंग्स टू द स्टूडेंट्स instead of giving all bookish knowledge, all theoretical knowledge. Show them the images, show example of a sources used in teaching, coins, artifacts and tools. Artifacts होते हैं that are made by humans. Okay, old manuscripts and documents. ये देखो टीचिंग कहीं है, आपने हिस्ट्री के कोई सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ाने हैं, राइट, तो शो द रियल ऑब्जेक्ट्स, राइट, उनको शो द जो मेन प्लेस है. सच मटेरियल आर कॉल्ड द प्राइमरी सोर्सेज. इनको क्या बोलते हैं, याद रखो, दीज आर कॉल्ड द प्राइमरी सोर्सेज which are original evidence from the past and help students study history more realistically. In the source method, students examine original materials like photo, documents, and records to understand historical events. This encourages observation, discussion, and interpretations of evidence. अब ये देखिए, अंडर द सोर्स मेथड टाइप्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अभी तक हम टाइप्स ना लेक्चर मेथड में, डिस्कशन मेथड में हमने नहीं की, बट व्हेन द सोर्स मेथड विल कम, definitely we have to define, we have to write the types of sources. Okay, right, कौन से sources होते हैं? There are two types of sources. One is primary sources and second is secondary sources. First we discuss the primary sources. और primary sources are the original documents. ये देखिए, these are the original material from the time of event. Example, letters, diaries, coins, photographs, government documents, inscriptions. है ना? You are, for example, you are teaching to the students a particular topic, 500 साल पहले, 1000 साल पहले का है, right? तो ये these are the primary sources. और secondary sources क्या होते हैं? Secondary sources are the sources, these are the material prepared later using primary sources. Example, textbook, history books, articles, and research papers. For example, you are teaching to the students regarding the teachings of Lord Jesus, right? अब जिस टाइम जीसस हुए थे, उस टाइम ये कोई इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज थोड़ा थी जो आज की इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज है, या हिंदी है या पंजाबी है, राइट? तो ये सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज क्या हुए हैं? तो सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज वो हुए हैं प्रिपेयर्ड लेटर यूजिंग प्राइमरी सोर्सेज, जो प्राइमरी एविडेंस थे उनके हेल्प से उन्होंने सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज बनाए हैं. यू गॉट द पॉइंट ना? फॉर एग्जांपल, यू वांट टू नो अबाउट द गुरु नानक देव जी, राइट? व्हेन द गुरु नानक देव जी born and what are the teachings of गुरु नानक देव जी, और ऑन दैट टाइम ये जो इंग्लिश आज की या पंजाबी आज की है, ये थोड़ा थी. तो सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज, ये जितने भी हम उनके अभी टेक्स्ट बुक्स या वी आर studying that, these are called the secondary sources. What are the primary sources? Primary sources क्या होगा? उनका कोई गुरुद्वारा हो सकता है ना? Might be गुरुद्वारा, right? उनका places where he visited, right? उनके कोई letters, पर आज तो वो भी खराब हो चुके होंगे सारा, है ना? इतना होता नहीं है sometimes. Photographs maybe sometimes. तो जो भी letters, diaries, coins, photographs, these are called the primary sources. Secondary sources are the sources prepared later using the primary sources. वो क्या है? Examples are textbook, history books, articles, research papers. Okay, ये types of sources हैं. Steps of a source method. Selection of a sources. The teacher selects suitable and reliable sources related to the topic. You have to teach to the student, na? Okay, so this is your duty. You should know about this method. Whenever I have to select it, तो suitable or reliable sources को चुनो. Otherwise, guys, student listen you. He or she blindly trust on you. Right? तो अगर आप उसको, if you are giving a real teaching, good teaching, he will listen. Otherwise, whatever the knowledge you have gained, so he will become like that. So this is your duty to find a suitable and reliable sources. Presentation of a sources. The sources are shown or provided to the students for study. Observation and examination. Student carefully observe, read and examine the sources. Analysis and interpretation. Student analyzes the information and discuss what it means. Drawing conclusions. Student derive facts, ideas or historical understanding from the sources. Teacher guidance and summary. The teacher guides students and summarizes the correct concept. Here also teacher acts like a guide, acts like a, you can say, teacher is a starter basically, right? तो टीचर ने उसको फैसिलिटेटर की तरह एक्ट करना है. ओके, सो दिस इज द स्टेप्स ऑफ द सोर्स मेथड, राइट? इसके टाइप्स एंड टाइप्स इंपॉर्टेंट है. अब देखिए क्या यूजेस एंड एडवांटेजेस क्या होंगे सोर्स मेथड से. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट टीचिंग विद द सोर्स मेथड, व्हाट विल हैपन? योर स्टूडेंट, it will make your teaching learning process interesting and active. Why your teaching is not interesting? Why it is not active? Because of lack of these teaching methodology, lack of these methods. If you do not have the knowledge of these methods, how you can teach the students like this method? Got it? Every topic requires a different method to teach. You cannot teach every topic with the same method. If you are doing this wrong practice, then you are the person who is killing the reasoning power of the student, curiosity of the student, interest of the student, right? Aptitude of the student. It makes your teaching learning process interesting and active. It develops the critical thinking and analytical skills among students. It helps students understand historical facts more clearly. It encourages independent learning. It improves observation and interpretation skill. Limitations of source method: time consuming. Naturally, it is a very much time consuming. Okay, sources may not always be easily available. है ना, होता भी नहीं है ऐसे. 500 साल पहले, 1000 years पहले, sources available ही नहीं है. पता नहीं, how many persons they have changed it, right? Difficult for younger students to analyze sources. Requires proper guidance from the teacher. Or last time, not suitable for large classes. Okay. Next is storytelling method. The another method, storytelling method, is a teaching method in which the teacher explains a topic by telling a story. As you see in the images, the storytelling method is a method of teaching in which knowledge, ideas, values are communicated through stories. So some topics, ये जो क्लासेस होती हैं हमारी स्टार्टिंग की प्राइमरी क्लासेस होती हैं, ओके, देयर इज ए नीड टू टीच विद द स्टोरी टेलिंग मेथड. Sometimes in the bigger classes there is a need to narrate with the story also, to understand the concept with the story also, right? But mostly used in the lower classes, not in the higher classes, right? It makes learning interesting, enjoyable, and easy for students to understand and remember. This method is widely used in a primary education. वो देखो आई क्या लिखा हुआ है ना, primary education, history and moral education. Steps क्या हैं story telling method के? First of all, teacher has to select a suitable story related to the topic. Preparation. Second है, the teacher prepares the story with clear sequence and important points. Presentation of the story. The teacher narrates the story in an interesting way using voice, expression and gesture. ये सारा कॉपी हो रहा है स्टूडेंट का. Don't think that when you are in a class, na guys, listen me. When you are in a class for 35 minutes or 40 minutes, Students observe each and every moment of your teaching. Do you know that? 35 minutes you are teaching in the class. Do you know that when you teach to the student, another important things I'm going to share with you. When you teach in a class, na, any of the topic, okay, in a 35 minutes, guys, only 7% you verbally communicate with the student. Do you know 93% your non-verbal communication exists, communicates with the students? Do you know that? Your gestures, your voice, your expressions, these all are counted. Yes. You think you are speaking whole of the 40 minutes and you think that your verbal communication is 50-60%. Never happens. Verbal communication is only 7 or 8%. Yes, student learns from your non-verbal communications. 93% non-verbal communication, research says. I'm not saying, research says. So when you teach in the class, your gesture, your voice level, your expressions, your way of talking, your behavior, right? You are moving in the class or not, how you are asking the questions from the students, how you are responding. Okay. So these all things are learned by the student, right? 93% non-verbal communications, happens in the class. In every class, research says. Discussion. Next step, fourth discussion. Student discuss the story and answer questions. Last, conclusion and moral. The teacher explains the lessons or concept learned from the story. अब इसके advantages क्या हैं, uses क्या हैं? It also makes teaching learning process interesting and enjoyable. देखो, it improves the listening and imagination skill. ये देखो, अब यहां से इमेजिनेशन वर्ड एक हमारा भी आया यहां पे, है ना? यू हैव सीन दैट द न्यू वर्ड इमेजिनेशन स्किल्स. तो स्टोरी टेलिंग मेथड से इमेजिनेशन स्किल्स डेवलप हो रहा है स्टूडेंट का, राइट? एंड इफ यू आर नॉट यूजिंग होल ऑफ द ईयर, तो यू आर द पर्संस ना who becomes obstacle in order to developing the imagination skills of the student. It helps students remember information easily, develops language and communication skill, teaches moral values and social lessons. And what are the limitations? It may take more time than other methods. Some students may lose attention if the story is long, not suitable for all subjects or complex topics. Effectiveness depends on the teacher's storytelling ability. याद रखना, you should be perfect in this also. Okay. नेक्स्ट आ जाओ डायरेक्ट मेथड. ओके, ये है लैंग्वेज में यूज होता है बेसिकली, मोस्टली यूज इन द लैंग्वेजेस लाइक when you are discussing lecture of English, है ना? You are a teacher of English, तो mostly you use direct method. अब direct method is a method of teaching in which the teacher teaches a subject directly in the target language without using the student's mother tongue. Students learn the language through speaking, listening, and everyday conversation. Next, this method is mainly used in language education and English language teaching. The direct method is a teaching method where the teacher explains the meaning of words and sentences directly through action, pictures, objects, or demonstration instead of a translation. This is important. Through demonstration, through the target language, not the translation. This is not a translation method. This is a direct method. If you are a teacher of English, you must speak in English in the class. You must put the question in English in front of the student and takes the response in English. Students learn the language in the same way they learned their first language by listening and speaking. डायरेक्ट मेथड. अब स्टेप्स क्या है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इसके स्टेप्स ऑफ डायरेक्ट मेथड. इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ न्यू वर्ड्स. द टीचर इंट्रोड्यूसेस न्यू वर्ड्स यूजिंग ऑब्जेक्ट्स, पिक्चर्स और एक्शंस. प्रोनाउंसिएशन प्रैक्टिस. Students repeat the words and sentences to improve pronunciation. अब मुझे ये बताओ स्टूडेंट, अब मुझे ये बताओ गाइस, ओके, यू आर द स्टूडेंट ऑफ, यू आर ए बीएड ट्रेनी इज गोइंग टू बिकम अ टीचर। अब ये बताओ, यू नो, if the student, you know, if he doesn't have the good pronunciation, so it is a not fault of the student, it is a fault of the teacher. What is happening in our, you have seen in the India, where there is a language teacher, English teacher, he is speaking in Hindi in the class. So what will happen? How the student can develop the language, how the student can improve the pronunciation if the teacher is asking the questions in Hindi? Are you getting my point ना? Right? So ये डायरेक्ट मेथड है, मतलब इंग्लिश टीचर के लिए है, इंग्लिश टीचर शुड टीच with that method, right? And you know, steps of direct method is introductions of new words, pronunciation practice, question and answer. The teacher asks question and students responds in the target language, means English language. Ab you know what happens in India, na? You have seen that, and this is also true that in, आप सर्वे करवा लीजिए whole of the India, maximum parents, they want that, you know, उनका जो बेबी है, मतलब he should take admissions in the convent schools. Why they are going to the convent schools? Because they know that और कुछ नहीं होगा तो उनकी इंग्लिश तो बन जाएगी ना बच्चे की. Because what happens in the convent schools, in every convent schools, you have seen that fathers and sisters, they speak in English. They have a very good communications level, good command over the English, right? But you know what happens in the other boards, in the other schools, you have seen that even the English teacher is speaking in Hindi. So how, you know, student will develop the English, how the student will develop the pronunciation level, right? Next, practice through conversation. Students practice speaking through dialogues and activities. Reading and writing practice. After speaking practice, students read and write the new language. In simple word, we can say that the direct method teaches language by using language itself without translation, focusing mainly on speaking and listening. Speaking and listening, translations nahi hai, speaking and listening. Right? English jo language hai, English, it is phrase na. English cannot be taught. It is always caught. Caught. C-A-U-G-H-T, caught. Right? What are the uses and advantages of a direct method? When you start teaching direct method, so what will help? It will help the student to improve speaking and listening skill. It helps the student learn the language naturally and quickly. With the, you know, translation method, say you cannot learn the English language and you cannot speak like a flowing water, right? It makes learning interesting and active. It develops confidence in communication. It reduces dependence on translation. इसकी जरूरत ही नहीं है. इंडिया में देखो, नंबर ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैव ओपन्ड, दे आर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग द स्पोकन इंग्लिश. आप मुझे ये बताओ, एक भी इंस्टीट्यूट दिखा देना जहां से spoken English से student have learned the English like a flowing water. All right. If the teacher will start teaching with these methods, adopting these teaching methodology, so there is no need of a, you know, such kind of a institutions. Next, limitations of a direct method. Difficult for beginners if vocabulary is limited. Requires well-trained teachers naturally. Not suitable for large classes. Some abstract words are hard to explain without translations. Okay, these are some limitations also. Okay, next we discuss the bilingual method of teaching. What is a bilingual? Bilingual, bi का मतलब ऐसे ही दो आ गया ना, two language. Okay, the bilingual method is a method of a teaching in which two languages are used in the classroom by the teacher. Okay, one is the target language, English, and the student's mother tongue. Okay, now what is happening with the help of a bilingual method of a teaching? This method helps students understand new words and sentence quickly by giving direct meaning in their native language. Okay, you know, do you know that students are from that, you know, they speak more and more mother tongue. So bilingual method of a teaching, with the help of a bilingual method of a teaching, you have to train to the student so that he can learn the target language, which is the English language. Okay. It is mainly used in language education and in English language teaching. The bilingual method is a teaching method in which the teacher explains the meaning of a new words or a sentences, uses the student's mother tongue along with the target language. अब टीचर क्या कर रहा है, मदर टंग में ही स्पीकिंग, बिकॉज स्टूडेंट्स आर फ्रॉम द बैकग्राउंड ऑफ for vernacular places, right? In the vernacular languages, my teacher is speaking, but along with that, he is speaking in target language also. Okay. What are the main features, characteristics of the bilingual method of teaching? It uses of two languages. ये सारे मेथड इंग्लिश के अंदर हैं, पैडागोजी ऑफ इंग्लिश में, राइट? डायरेक्ट मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग, बाइलिंगुअल, इसके बाद आएगा कम्युनिकेटिव वाला, आएगा कोऑपरेटिव, आएगा कोऑपरेटिव मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग. दीज ऑल मेथड्स आर फ्रॉम द पैडागोजी ऑफ इंग्लिश. यूजेस ऑफ टू लैंग्वेज, both the target language English and the students mother tongues are used in the teaching. Correct. Explanation in the mother tongue. Difficult word, the teacher, difficult words, sentences or concepts in the target language are explained in the mother tongue for easy understanding. Focus on speaking, reading and writing. Students practice the target language actively through conversation, reading and writing practices and writing exercises. Combination of a direct and translation method. It blends direct learning in the target language with translation for clarity. Gradual transition to target language. Over time, what will happen when you start teaching with this? Student really more on the target language and less on the mother tongue. Okay. So please guys mute yourself. Some disturbance is coming. So please mute, all of you, please mute yourself. Okay guys. So ultimately the objective of this method also is to, over the time, what will happen? The student will come on the target language, which is the English language. Right? So, steps kya hai? What are the steps of bilingual method? Introduction of the lesson. The teacher introduces the topic in the target language. Presentations of the new words. New words are explained with their meaning in the mother tongue. Okay. Sentence practice. Students practice sentences in the target language. Question answer session. The teacher asks questions and students respond in the target language. Practice activities. Students practice speaking, reading and writing. Revision and reinforcement. The teacher reviews the lesson to strengthen understanding. इंपॉर्टेंट है इसके स्टेप्स, ठीक है नी. अब क्या होगा, यूजेस क्या होगा, एडवांटेजेस क्या होगा बाइलिंगुअल मेथड के? इट हेल्प स्टूडेंट्स अंडरस्टैंड मीनिंग क्विकली, सेव्स टाइम इन एक्सप्लेनिंग वोकैबुलरी, मेक्स लर्निंग इजी फॉर बिगिनर्स, improves confidence in using a new language, combines the advantage of a direct method and translation method. Limitations of a bilingual method: students may become dependent on the mother tongue. Sometime it happens. May reduce practice in the target language. Requires teacher who knows both language well. Sometimes students may focus more on translation than communications. होता है ना, happens ना. So this is your duty. Okay. You have to use this method completely. Okay. Next is the interactive communicative method. It is also, method that comes under the syllabus of pedagogy of English. Interactive communicative method. This method is a modern teaching method in which students learn through interaction, communication, and participation. I will not say to you that this method is only for the English. Other subject teacher also can use this method. Okay. If you know the method, if you know how to teach with the student with the interactive way, communicative way, participative way, as you see in the picture, in the image. Okay. The focus is on the practical use of language or a subject knowledge rather than the rote memorization. Again, I read, the focus is on the practical use of language or the subject knowledge rather than the rote memorization. अगर कोई बच्चा रट्टे भी लगाता है तो भी बच्चे का कसूर नहीं है. किसका कसूर है? Right? Because he didn't get a good teacher. Okay. This method is a widely used in the language education and communicative language teaching, but it can also be applied to other subject. ये देखो आ गया ना वही बात. It can also apply to the other subject teacher that involve discussion and collaborative meaning. Okay. Even I also prefer this method, right? Because it's a, lot of skills you can develop among students with the interactive method. Main feature characteristics of the interactive communicative method. अरे वाओ कितना इंपॉर्टेंट आ गया देखो फर्स्ट पॉइंट स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड लर्निंग बस यही हमें अचीव करनी है द फोकस द मेन ऑफ द टीचर शुड बी नॉट द टीचर सेंटर्ड इट शुड बी स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड whatever the students demands you should always be ready for completing the demand of the student. If the student asks in a 1 time, 2 time, thrice, 4 time, 10 times, you should be ready to teach to the students 10 times, guys. Okay. You have to make your teaching student centered, not the teacher centered. When it will become the teacher centered, so you will become the killer of, killing all the skills among the students. And it happens if without a beard, you are teaching in the schools. I'm sharing with you the real thing when, many of the students, okay, they were also teaching somewhere, okay, in the home tuitions and others, okay, when they start, beard, and under my guidance, they completed the beard. During the beard, they said to me, Lalit sir, today we confess that. Till today, from last, 5-6 years, we are not teaching to the students. Actually, we are cheating to the students. Yes, they admitted. Wrong teaching se wo padha rahe the. Okay. Because after doing a particular course na, and with a good mentor भी यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट है याद रखना if you claim that you are done with the beard तो number of a persons they have done the beard okay but who is the person who is teaching well right so under the good mentor is a necessary for the to become a good teacher effective teachers always remember student centered learning. What happens under the interactive communicative method? Students actively participate, interact, take responsibility for their learning. Focus on communication. It emphasizes speaking, listening, expressing ideas clearly in the real situation. Interactive activities uses role plays, group discussion, debates, dialogues, and projects. Practical learning. Knowledge is applied in real life or simulated scenarios. Collaborative learning. Students learn from the teacher and from each other. देखो इससे कितना बेनिफिट हो रहा है राइट स्टूडेंट लर्न्स फ्रॉम द टीचर एंड फ्रॉम ईच अदर मतलब व्हेन वी डिस्कस ना वी आल्सो लर्न फ्रॉम ईच अदर मतलब वी शुड नॉट हैव सच काइंड ऑफ ए फीलिंग कि ओनली आई हैव टू डू हमें वी हैव टू बिकम द हेल्पिंग वी शुड हैव ए हेल्पिंग नेचर ओके नॉट कि यार मैंने याद करना है दूसरे को चाहे ना आए राइट सो सच टाइप ऑफ यू कैन से we do not have to develop okay teacher as a facilitator देखो teacher always is a facilitator याद रखना teacher क्या होता है teacher is a starter है ना I have given you the example beforehand okay when you go for a dinner तो you order for a soup for which purpose so that आपकी जो भूख है वो जागृत हो जाए हाँ appetize right तो teacher is a basically appetizer basically right teacher is a starter means whenever you have to come in the class first of all you have to make the student for learning make the student to learn then you should start your lecture at least 5 minutes 7 minutes okay you should interact with the student discuss the what we have done in the previous okay asking some of the questions so from that way first of all make the student ready to learn first then start teaching what happens you come in the class open the book starting directly putting into the mind of the student thinking that whether the student know having the knowledge of previous or not. Got it? Uses and advantages of interactive communicative method क्या होगा? It improves communication and social skills. ये देखो, आज अगर बच्चों के social skill भी डेवलप नहीं है because of the teacher, right? Enhances critical thinking and problem solving ability, encourages confidence and participation in the class, makes learning interesting and meaningful, suitable for language learning and other interactive subjects. Okay, so guys, use किया करो इन methods को. Okay, when you have to teach to the students. Limitations of an interactive communicative method: requires small to medium class size for effective interaction, needs well-trained teachers. Some students may feel shy or hesitant to participate, can be time consuming compared to the lecture method. In short, we can say that interactive communicative method teaches students through discussion, through collaboration, through real life communication, and helping them learn actively, communicate confidently, and solve problem creatively. Right? Teacher should not only be intelligent, teacher should be creative, guys. You know what is the difference between intelligence and creativity? Intelligent people know only, answer of any questions in a one way or two way, but creative persons can give the answer in the, in the many ways. And your class is a mixture of intelligent students, average students, low average students, below average students, every type of students over there. So how you can teach with the, only you can focus on the intelligent students? You should have answer in a variety of ways. That should be understood by the below average student, and bright students, intelligent students. Okay? चलिए जी, नेक्स्ट करते हैं. लास्ट मेथड है कोऑपरेटिव लर्निंग मेथड. ये भी पेडागोजी ऑफ इंग्लिश का है. द कोऑपरेटिव लर्निंग मेथड इज अनदर टीचिंग मेथड इन विच स्टूडेंट्स वर्क टुगेदर इन ए स्मॉल ग्रुप to achieve common learning goals. In this method, each student is responsible for their own learning and also helps other learn. Creative a collaborative environment, as you see can in the picture. It is widely used in the education, language education, and science education. Cooperative learning is a method in which students work in team to complete task, solve problem, learn concept together with the teacher acting as a facilitator rather than a lecturer. It emphasizes peer support, shared responsibility, and active participation. Right? आपने कभी भी बच्चों को इकट्ठा पढ़ाया ही नहीं, कोई प्रॉब्लम इकट्ठी नहीं दी है, तो हाउ दे विल लव विद ईच अदर, हाउ दे विल वर्क इन ए टीम, if you didn't teach to the student from that way by giving a common problem to all the students. Okay, so it emphasizes peer support, shared responsibility, and active participation. Main features and characteristics of the cooperative learning method: group work. देखो, you learn how to work in a group. Students work in a small heterogeneous group with diverse abilities. आपने देखा होगा ना, some students, they learn alone. They cannot learn in the group. Why? Because when they were small, so teacher didn't, teach in like that way. Yeah, parents, yeah, any elders. Okay. When I talk about the teachers, it means teachers, it means elders, it means parents. Okay. Positive interdependence. Success depends on each member contributing and helping others. Individual accountability. Each student is responsible for their own learning as well as supporting peers. Active participation. Students discuss, solve problem, and participate in activities together. Teacher as a facilitator, right? Teacher guides the process, monitor groups, provides support when needed. Development of a social skills. Students learn students learn communications, leadership, teamwork, and conflict resolution skills. What are the uses and advantages of a cooperative learning method? It enhances learning and retention. Retention मतलब long time तक याद करके बच्चा रखता है. Okay, when you start teaching from these methods. Improve critical thinking skills and problem solving. Develops teamwork, communication, and social skills. Encourages active participation and motivation. It creates a supportive and collaborative classroom environment. Limitations क्या है? Requires careful planning and group formation. May be time consuming compared to the traditional method. Some students may dominate while others stay passive. Needs trained teachers to manage groups effectively. Okay, guys, thank you so much. अब आपके ये देखिए कि ऑलमोस्ट ये हमने सारे ही मेथड्स कर लिए हैं. ठीक है जी. सो आज हमारा मेथड्स हमारे ऑल मेथड्स वी आर डन. सो थैंक यू सो मच गाइस फॉर दिस लेक्चर. थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir.